Jerry Ward's back, huh? How can that be? You know, I understand a lot of people out there, that's going to be their response to that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Erin, Jerry's wife, she put a video up that Jerry's back that went into detail about some of her experiences since Jerry's passed, or Jerry's no longer here walking this earth with us, that has assured her, convinced her that Jerry Ward is in fact around her day to day, that he's there. And it was a number of things. It was, she hears his voice, audibly hears his voice, say things to her, reply to her. She hears his voice in her head, and it just comes out of nowhere, and even warned her of a potential hazardous situation that was going on and told her to get in the house, get back in the house now. And she heeded that voice, which is always very wise. Anytime anything is telling me in my head, even just a feeling, you know, that something's not right, I listen to that intuition. And in this case, in her opinion, it's not intuition, it literally is the influence of Jerry Ward, still looking out for her, still trying to stay close to her. There have been other reports about how he would play with the lights. And there was a thing about the lights, because he had kind of a, I don't want to say OCD, but that's how I describe some of my behaviors. But he was real hardcore concerned with security and keeping the lights working out there, the light on the garage door, for instance, outside for at nighttime. And that if that light, anything happened to that light, he would be on it immediately and replace it and fix it. So now that light blinks when she walks by it, and it flashes when she's out walking the dog. And it has happened to other people. One guy, a neighbor, went as far as to say, a young guy that was that really looked up to Jerry, went as far as to say that he thought he saw Jerry, that he thought he saw Jerry in like a shadow form underneath of that light while it was flashing, or move past that light in front of that garage door. So there's been numerous things going on in her home, and initially she questioned her insanity because she was going through some serious, you know, grief and all the accompanying stress that goes with that. And she questioned her own, you know, the validity of what she was actually experiencing. You know, if it was something to do with if she was having a breakdown. But now, as it continues on and is actually expanded, she is convinced and comfortable believing that Jerry Ward is near her and still looking out for her. Yeah, still staying close. So I'm sure that there are people that would hear this or saw her video that she put up and talked about it, and the response is probably, that poor thing, you know, that she's just lost it now. It's been so hard on her. The loss of Jerry is so, you know, tremendous. She's so grief-stricken. So, you know, me, of course, I saw the title of the video. I had to watch it. I watched it. I don't side with those people. I'm 61 years old. I've been around, you know, longer than a lot of you guys. Not as long as some of you, but longer than most of you. And I've seen a lot of things that are completely inexplicable. And the older that I get, every so often, I still continue to run across, experience firsthand, more things that just cannot be explained. Not rationally. They can't be explained in this physical realm in a way that everybody is going to universally just agree that that's a common experience. Yes, that was real. You know, as if I come out in the morning and I got small animal footprints on the hood of my truck. Well, people know what that's like. That's not hard to believe. A squirrel jumped up on there, maybe even a cat, barn cat, whatever have you, right? But when you go and say to someone, that you saw something, you know, in your home or someplace that you were, and it has any kind of ring of the supernatural to it, there are people out there immediately that shut it down and just, they don't want to hear it, they don't believe it. It's impossible. They're convinced. They're convinced, you know, that if they haven't experienced it themselves yet, they have no familiarity with it, they already conclude, no way, impossible, couldn't happen, no such thing. No such thing. Just shut it down right away. Not even open that maybe there are things that you just haven't experienced yet or you haven't seen. And it doesn't mean they're not there. Maybe there are things that you might have caught a glimpse of or you might have had some influence of, but you tried to ignore it and brush it off and explain it away. Because it's easier for some people to explain it away, no matter how far-fetched the possibility of that explanation that they allow themselves to swallow and accept could actually be, as far as transpiring the way it had to, for that to be the excuse or the definition or the cause, part and partial of what they experienced or saw or thought they heard or whatever, you know? And then there are other people out there who have seen things. And then there are people out there that just want to believe, regardless of whether they've actually experienced it or not. They just want to believe it. I have experienced a lot of very inexplicable things. Just paradigm-shattering, inexplicable. I'll give you an example. And I've said this before, so I'll be brief in case you've already heard it, because I'll get to some things that you don't know, I haven't said before, that are more recent. When I was in high school, I was, I don't know, 16, 17 years old, 17 maybe. If I was 17, I was just turning 17, or I hadn't turned 17 yet, but would turn 17 that year in school, that school year. There was a girl named Kim. I liked her. You know how when you're 17, you're that age, how you like girls, you know, or there may be one particular girl, there's something about her, you don't even know exactly what it is, it just tickles your fancy. I knew partly what it was with her. She's quite chesty, and I liked that. That appealed to me very much at that moment in time, hugely. And well, I was very curious. I wanted to know what was under that sweater. But anyway, never did find out. But that's not the whole point. Point is, I liked her a lot. I liked her a lot. We started to go out. We went out a few times. Her mom was a teacher at the school, actually. So I started to go over her house with her occasionally, ride over with her and her mom. And her mom was a single mom. She had a brother and a grandmother that lived with them. And I would ride home with them once in a while, and then my mom or somebody from my household would come and pick me up a few hours after dinner, you know, later, 7, 8 o'clock, whatever, p.m. So I think the very first time I went over, I've told you this before, we were sitting on the floor with our backs up against a recliner, and we were watching, of all things, a horror movie on the television. And because it was around Christmas time, there was, in the middle of the room, there was a light fixture, and on that light fixture, there was some kind of little Christmas odd or end affixed. And it was affixed, believe it or not, wouldn't have been that, people were resourceful and utilitarian more so back then than today, so it's not that hard to fathom, but it was affixed with a keychain ring. Keychain ring, like you just spread it open a little bit and feed whatever through it till it goes all the way around, and now it's secure, right? Those keychain rings are pretty tough. You can imagine if you were going to try and take one in your fingers and pull it apart. Could you do that? Probably not. It'd be very, very difficult. You might be able to unwind it, but could you pull it apart? Probably not. Probably not. I really doubt it. So this doodad, whatever it was, mistletoe, whatever it was hanging off of this light fixture in the middle of the living room. We got the lights out, watching a scary movie. All of a sudden, this thing, and we were scared too. It was at a scary part of the movie where it was building up to a crescendo. And I don't know, was it because our state of mind at the time, or whatever it was. There was something there that cashed in on that. Maybe, I don't know, but it was definitely there. She told me before I ever went over there that her house was haunted. Her mother told me her house was, they were very serious about it. I thought it was a joke. And me, I'm like, yeah, all right. You know, I was polite. I wasn't going to be rude and disrespectful about it. I was like, oh, yeah, wow, really? You know. But I'm thinking, you know, it doesn't factor into my decision to go over or not. You know why I want to go over, because I want to be close to her. I don't, you know. So I didn't put a lot of stock in that other stuff. You know. So all of a sudden, this fixture in the middle of the room has this Christmas decoration or doodad hanging off of it. It comes crashing down and fucking slams right in front of us, right in front of our feet on the floor. Let me turn this up so it's getting dark. It looks like it's getting dark anyway. Comes crashing down and slams on the front of us, right at our feet, right in front of us. And of course, we're just shocked. Anybody would be shocked. If you weren't terrified, you would be in shock because you would be so startled. Who the fuck expects that? We get the lights on, we try to figure out what in the hell happened, and I go over and look at this thing, being an analytical, pragmatic type of kid from an early age. I was a nerd, you know, I was a science nerd. Good grades, studious, you know, all that kind of shit. I go over there and I look, and the keychain ring was pulled completely straight out now. It was completely straight, end to end. It couldn't have been any straighter had you had a vise and hammered it out and unwound it with pliers and tried your best to straighten it without breaking it, and hammered and crushed it straight. But it wasn't crushed. It wasn't hammered. It was just now straight. So that was disturbing. That was disturbing. And there's some other little things that happened that didn't happen specifically to me, but I count that as happening to me. But, okay. I go home. All right, at the end of the night. Okay, and that's very odd, but not enough to scare me away. I'm 17 years old. You understand? Wasn't long later. It was, I don't know, the next week or even just several days. I ride home with them again, stay for dinner. It's starting to get late. It starts snowing is what it was. It starts snowing. It's dark out, but it probably could have stayed longer, but it was starting to snow and it's getting heavy. So her mom volunteers that maybe we better get him home while we can still go out before it gets worse. We don't know what's going to happen. They're calling for several inches. Okay, makes plenty of sense. So, only people in the house at this time are myself, Kim, and her mom, who is a teacher. The mom goes upstairs, I guess upstairs bathroom, whatever she's going up there to. We come out into basically the foyer at the bottom where the stairwell empties out. And then there's like it's kind of an older Victorian type of house. And there's kind of like a vestibule. And then you go out the front door, onto a porch, down some steps, on the sidewalk, out the gate. So we're standing there at the bottom of the steps, at the banister of the staircase, you know, waiting for her to come down. We're ready, got our coats on, scarves, whatever may apply. And we're standing there. All of a sudden, everything's quiet. It's snowing. All of a sudden, straight over our heads, no exaggeration, there comes this huge pounding right on the wooden floor above us that literally, it sounded to me as if somebody had a cinder block and was just slamming it up and down on that floor. It was just boom, 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 and it wouldn't stop. And her and I are like, Jesus Christ. Her mother starts yelling. Her mother never loses it. Never loses it. Very calm, very cool, collected person. Mother starts yelling, runs to the top of the staircase and yells down to us, what in the hell are you kids doing down there? And when she gets to the staircase, while we still hear the final boom. So I'm looking up the staircase at her as she's yelling down to us, what in the hell are you? And it stops. But it just did the last one. Boom! On the floor. We didn't know it was going to be the last one, but it just stopped when she got to the staircase, started yelling. But she got to it and started yelling before it stopped, and I saw her and still heard that last one. That, and what happened next left me never wanting to go over there again. I don't care about the boobs now. I'm not going over there no more. So she goes, they both look at each other, like knowingly. Oh, one of them says. You know, they're both kind of like to each other. Oh. I'm going, what? What are you talking about? What in the flying hell was that? They said, oh, it's that back room. So the mom came down, grabbed her coat off the hook, put it on, and Kim was saying, yeah, it's that bedroom. We keep that door locked. We store things in there, but that's all. Nobody can sleep in that room because that's where most of the disturbance occurs. We walk to the front door. It's not even over yet. We walk to the front door. We open it. We walk through the vestibule, close the door behind us. It's kind of like a little mudroom area, reception area. We can wipe your feet and, you know. Get to the front door, the external door, the exit door. It's snowing pretty good out now, and it's dark out. Open the door. How about this? And I swear to you, every bit of this is a fucking truth. Open the door. There are footprints. Footprints at the fucking door. Right there on the porch at the front door. These footprints, these nondescript, you know, I mean that as in there's no like tread or any kind of, you know, detail as if it was a tennis shoe or a boot or just a smooth footprint, obviously of some kind of shoe. The footprints started mid-sidewalk, in the middle of the sidewalk. You know, inside the gate, gate's closed, snow, virgin snow, undisturbed. Undisturbed, not a frickin' bird print on the snow. Undisturbed virgin snow, and then suddenly in the middle of the walk, in the yard, the footprints just, that's where they start. Like somebody just jumped down out of the sky and they landed right there and started walking up the steps. The footprints began out of nowhere in the middle of the walkway, and they walked up the steps, wooden steps, across the front porch to the front door, as if somebody had come into the house, and nobody came into the house. Nobody knocked on the door. Nothing like that. That was disturbing to me. Might not sound like much to you, but because I was there, and I'm trying to wrap my 16, 17-year-old mind around this, I was there and experienced it and saw it. I was there. And no one else was in that house unaccounted for. 3 people. Myself, Kim, and her mom. That bothered me. So, I didn't think that she really dug me that much anyway. You know, kind of liked me, but I really did. I'm only 16, 17 years old. I can't read females yet. I got no idea what they're really thinking. So the next day at school, I see her in the hall, and she goes, I've been looking for you. Where were you? And I said, hey, you know, listen. She goes, are you going to come over today? She said, I don't know if today's a good idea, but tomorrow would be really cool. Why don't you come over to dinner tomorrow? I said, listen, you know, I think we should just cool it off. And she was upset. She literally started crying. Why? What? I literally broke up with her and called it off over that frickin' house. So that's one really dramatic thing. Then I didn't see anything for the longest time. Then I saw another very, very scary thing when I was probably 27. Another very scary thing, up close and personal, terrifying. It was an apparition. It was very scary. And I didn't necessarily see anything for I don't know how long. Then I moved into the house I was renting before I moved here. The gorilla house, right? That catastrophe, that really bad idea, that failed social experiment that really never got off the ground. Yeah. I moved into that house and rented that house. Why? Because it was right down the street from where I used to live, where our house was, right? And I wanted to be near. And I didn't really know where I had no plans. You know what I'm saying? I really had no end game or long game actual thought of what the frick I was doing, even to leave and walk away. And you know what I mean? Not one of my better decisions. Anyway, so I was at that gorilla house, right? Now, you know, that house was built in 1825. It was the first really large, wealthy home at the time, wealthy home in Glen Rock, Pennsylvania. The guy that built that home, you know, came from London. He owned the mill across the street, which now is a real fancy restaurant, but back then was an actual mill. That was his mill. He had that built. He's responsible for that. He's kind of one of the large founding figures of that whole town. Anyway, that house was off the hook, and it wasn't anything bad. So what I experienced at that house was nothing scary, but I experienced some very strange things, and I hadn't experienced anything and I don't even know how long, you know, to that point. A couple things at the other house, not like this, and then those things that I experienced there weren't scary things. They weren't scary things. You know, there was a bizarre thing one time that had me going through all the electrical everywhere in the house. I thought the house was going to burn down, and it was all turned out to be fine and normal. It didn't have nothing to do with it. You know, I don't want to sit here and make this video too long, but I've seen some bizarre shit. Some bizarre shit. Val and I were in bed in that house that we bought when we were living, you know, in that farmhouse, a big farmhouse together, where I filmed all those videos outside all the time and all. And we were in bed one night, and we're just laying there trying to go to sleep, getting ready to go to sleep, out of frigging nowhere, just pitch black, you know. Not a lot of lights out here in the roads, so there's not a lot of light to come in from wherever, outside, whatever, so no lights. All of a sudden, the whole room just like exploded in this bluish white light, mostly blue, just huge, and it smelled like electricity. It was like just a light explosion of just a light, just this blue, and the whole room just is like zapped the whole room, bright as shit, and then it was gone. And she and I were like, what the? You know, so literally I thought, my God, what the hell's going on? House burned down? What the hell's happened? Electrical? Nothing. Wasn't nothing like that. So God only knows what that was. And then another time, it was said, everybody, not everybody, but I'm going to say at least 5 or 6 different people, not even knowing each other, commented that we had a woman and a little boy living in the attic. A woman and a little boy. There was nothing in the attic. Big attic, you know, nice floors, all that. Nothing up there. Because we were so convinced that they were there, we didn't even store anything in that attic. Never. Because that was somebody else's space, and we'd rather them stay there. You know, just because it's disturbing to see things unexpectedly. But there were people, Val saw the woman and child a few times downstairs, different places. And when we first moved in there, one of the movers refused to go back in the house. Because when he was outside, we had no idea any of this. We had no idea. But we found out then, because he said that in the attic window, there was a woman in a white gown, like a nightgown, looking out the window. And it freaked him out. And he wouldn't come back in the house. Creeped him out. You know, when we first moved in. And then thereafter, that's what the story always was. There was a woman in a white gown with a little child. One night, I was in bed sleeping. And she whispered in my ear, up against my side of my head, to the degree that I felt her breath on me. It was real. It was real. And that is the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. That is. And it was very kind, what she said. And I don't even remember exactly what she said. It's just the fact that coming up alongside of me and whispering in my ear like that while I'm lying there in bed, that was terrifying to me. I said, my God, please never do that again. I know you don't mean any harm, but my God, it scared the shit out of me. Please don't do that again. She never did. So, a lot of strange things. Then when I got into that house that I rented, the gorilla house, that house was built in 1825. It's very old. And the architecture was amazing because there's no nails. You know, all the original stuff, when you went up in the attic, you could see the beams and all. It was all, you know, holes with pins hammered through the holes. It's, you know, these big, gigantic beams. That's how they held the house together. It wasn't anything else. 1825, that's how they did it. That was the architecture. Beautiful. I loved the house. When I first moved in there, you know, I was a bit distraught. I was, you know, wasn't really happy, regardless of what it may look like on the outside or regardless of what people think. Because, I mean, I did leave and go there. I wasn't very happy. I was freaking pretty disturbed about it. And I kept seeing tracers, like stuff going past me all the time. Some stuff down low, some stuff at eye level almost. Walking through the house. First couple of days I was there alone, every day. And I actually started to say to myself, something's wrong. Something's wrong. The stress is so bad with me. I'm experiencing so much pressure or trauma or whatever right now because of this, you know, me leaving and all that shit, and even coming here by myself, you know, that something's happening. Blood pressure, I don't know what, that I'm seeing these things. So I was pretty scared about that. Then it calmed down and it went away. But that house had been empty quite a while before I moved in. Then I began to see and hear other things. And this was a large house. So I'm all the way up on the 3rd floor in bed, and all the way down at the street entrance level, which was 2 floors down, right? 2 floors, 3rd floor, right? 1st floor, 1 level floor, 2nd floor, you come in from the back entrance, right? Kitchen, all that's down there, main floor. Then the other floor, which would be the basement, is level with the street. That's facing the town. And down there had been a cistern in the back room where it was all bricked floor. All old school, you know, like handmade brick floor. And at one time there had been a cistern in there because wealthy people, they had water in their house. And it was not that uncommon for there to be a well or cistern or something in the house. That's not the only one I've seen or been cognizant of. I've seen ones that are still in the houses that still work. But this one had been bricked over. So that room, almost every night, probably in the course of a week, 3 nights a week, sometimes 2 nights a week, about 2:30 or 3 a.m. in the morning, there would be conversation down there. I don't know, can't tell you how many voices. It was all muddied and muffled, and there were so many talking. It was like somebody was down there playing cards. I don't know that they were playing cards. They could have been, I don't know what, just sitting around having conversation or drinking or I don't know what. But it was all male voices, and they were clearly having a conversation. And I went down there the first couple of times I heard it, of course. I ran down there ready to defend the place, wondering what the hell's going on, and quiet, nothing. But it would repeatedly happen. I've had people stay over that house and make fun of it when I tell them some of the things that happen. And so I tell them, okay, well, if you hear voices down there at 2:30, 3 in the morning, don't come waking me up because it's normal. You may or may not hear it. They scoffed at it, thought it was a joke. Well, when I get up the next morning, I come downstairs on my couch that was on the 2nd floor, right, by the back door entrance, near the kitchen. When I come downstairs, they were both snuggled together, man and woman, grown man and woman, on that couch where they hadn't went to bed all night because they were so terrified they didn't even get up and move through the house anywhere to go up to a bedroom because they heard it just like I had said. And they had told me, oh, I'm not scared of any ghost. I don't, let there be ghosts down there, you know. Yeah, no, it didn't work out that way. The reality was a little different than the expectation that they had. And the most bizarre thing I ever saw there, again, for me, it was nothing threatening, nothing dangerous, nothing even unwelcome to me. Sometimes in the bedroom, I'd be going to sleep, I'd hear something move over here, then something move over here. Something move over here, something move over here. I mean, physically, something of some weight move. And I would finally say, please, I've got to get some sleep. You have to stop it so I can get some sleep, please. And then it would stop. It would stop, and I could sleep. But other things I saw the most bizarre thing. And if you think all this is crazy so far, you're going to really think this is crazy, but it's true. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I had no expectation. I never thought that I saw a ghost cat. And I would see this ghost cat numerous times. And many other people saw this ghost cat. Broad daylight, didn't matter when it was, nighttime. It was a little black cat. It was a little ghost cat. That this cat would materialize, dematerialize. I never saw it materialize. I saw it sitting one place one time inside of a door, in the middle of a door in the floor. I opened the door, it was pitch black. I opened the door and something was right there. It was black as a shadow. Something was there that was solid, sitting on the floor in the threshold of the doorway. I don't know what it is, so right away I'm like, Jesus, I fucking turn the light on. I don't know what the hell this is, raccoon, possum, I don't know what it is. I hit the light. As soon as I hit that light, and the light got to it, it was a little black cat sitting there, had been sitting there, and it like sparkled very quickly and just broke into, like, for lack of anything else, like looks glittery dust, just dissipated and gone. Dissipated and gone. And I saw that. Another time, broad daylight, sitting at the kitchen table. I see movement, I look up. Here's that little black cat. I see that cat appear from where I can see, and it is rounding the corner of the stairwell banister and heading upstairs. And I get up and run and look, and there's no cat. I go upstairs, I look, there's no cat. And I've seen it, I saw it several times. And I had people say to me, I didn't know you had a cat. I literally had people say that. I say, I kind of do and kind of don't. And then I would explain it, and they would laugh and be like, oh, no way. No way, there's no such thing. Well, you saw it. You're saying, you got a cat in here. I said, no, man. And they would see it and they would describe it. Little black cat. Yeah. And there were other things. That place was really active. But it was nothing ever threatening. It was nothing ever scary. Nothing. And over where Val and I had lived, you know, we're both goofy together. We came home one summer day, you know, out shopping, whatever. Come in through the kitchen entrance, you know, the back door, entrance with a level with the backyard, old farmhouse. Come in that door, and we come in, we've got all our pets there. We've got the dog, cat, you know, and we come in and we're both, you know, I'm goofy, you know, so like, hi everybody. And Valerie's like, hi everybody, hi. You know, because we're just happy, having a good time, and, up, you know. And after we said that, somebody else said, hi. And we both looked at each other, and she goes, did you hear that? I said, somebody said hi, just like we had said it. She said, yeah. And it wasn't low. It was the same volume as our voices had been. Now, was it the cat or the dog? Somehow. Somebody said it. Or was it somebody else in the house, like the little boy, or, right? Because everybody had seen and we had interactions with there being a young woman in a white gown and a little boy. So I don't know. So is Jerry back? If Aaron says that Jerry's back, I can see that. You know, if you're that close to somebody, you know, that much love, you know, you got to figure if it's possible. Grant me that, if it's possible, okay? I believe it is, but just, if you say, oh my God, all this bullshit, grant me for a moment benefit of the doubt. If it were possible, what would be a more likely scenario than for it to occur in a situation such as Jerry's and Aaron's? Jerry went to a bodybuilding competition to judge. He's away from his wife for a couple of days. He never got to come back. You know, how would that be? You know, if you love someone that much, you're that close to someone, you didn't even get to say goodbye. You didn't even get to see him just one more time. You know, just one more time. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Jerry Ward's back. I don't doubt it. Take care and have a great day.